Okay, so let's talk about the end of Mass Effect 3. We all remember it, right? You're standing there at the heart of the Citadel, the literal precipice of galactic history. The combined fleets you spent 3 games uniting are fighting and dying in space all around you. Down on Earth, the war is raging. And then this godchild, this thing made of light, shows up and tells you that everything you thought you were fighting for was basically wrong. He offers you 3 choices that will decide the fate of trillions. But today, I don't want to discuss what ending is the best or the worst. Today, I want to hold up a mirror to explore that your choice, destroy, control, synthesis, or refusal, reveals something fundamental about your real-world personality, your values, and how you see the world. And I will pretend that my psychology background makes me semi-competent to do this. For over a decade, this moment has been a source of intense debate, but the discussion always centers on Shepard. Today, I want to turn that lens around. That final command you give is maybe the ultimate personality test, and it exposes your deepest beliefs about power, sacrifice, and progress. So, which path did you walk? And what does it say about who you are when the game is off? So let's start with the choice that was presented as the main goal from the very beginning. Destroy. You step forward, you trigger the crucible, and you wipe out all synthetic life. Now this includes the Reapers, of course, which is the goal, but it's also the end for the Geth you might have just brokered peace for, and for EDI, who had just started to become a person. On paper, it's a brutal, costly, but definitive victory. And in most cases, it's one you don't walk away from, though if you played your cards perfectly throughout the entire game, there's that little glimmer that Shepard makes it out alive. So what does it mean if you chose to pull this trigger? Well, first and foremost, you're probably a pragmatist. You're decisive and mission-oriented. For 3 straight games, the one job you had was to stop the Reapers. This is the most direct way to do that. You're not really interested in the Catalyst's last-minute philosophical riddles. You see a problem, and you pick the most straightforward, if messy, solution. You believe in finishing the job. Choosing destroy also suggests a pretty healthy skepticism, perhaps even a cynicism, about power. When you were offered control of the Reapers, you probably saw it as a trap. The old saying about how absolute power corrupts absolutely, that probably resonates with you. You don't trust anyone, not even your own Paragon Shepard, to hold that much power without becoming a tyrant. Frankly, Saren and the Elusive Man were walking, talking cautionary tales, and you learned their lessons. To you, the Reapers are the ultimate tool of destruction, and a tool like that has to be broken, not just handed to a new boss, even if that boss is Shepard. You'd rather eliminate the threat completely than risk your own hands becoming the wrong ones. This choice also shows a high tolerance for what you'd call a calculated loss. You knew the cost. You knew EDI and the Geth were part of the price. It's a utilitarian calculation at its coldest. The lives of a few billion synthetics to guarantee the freedom and self-determination of trillions of organics for generations. It's a brutal choice, a moral quandary that makes your stomach churn, but for you it was the only choice that guaranteed a future without the Reaper's shadow. You're the person who makes the tough call, shoulders that burden, and lives with it because you believe it's what had to be done. Okay, so what if you didn't pull the trigger? What if you walked the path of the would-be king and chose control? Shepard's body is gone, but your mind is uploaded into the Citadel. You become this immortal, all-seeing guardian of the galaxy. You take control of the Reapers and repurpose them, commanding them to repair the galaxy and protect life instead of harvesting it. If this was your choice, you're likely a strategic, long-term thinker. You don't just see problems, you see systems. You looked at the Reapers and didn't just see a weapon to be destroyed, you saw a massively powerful tool that could be used for the greater good. Why destroy this incredible power, you figured, when it could be used to safeguard the future? This mindset, it's about a preference for strategic oversight. It's a belief that with the right leader, even a terrible weapon can become an instrument of peace. Choosing control also points to an immense sense of personal responsibility, and yeah, maybe a touch of a messiah complex. You trusted yourself, and only yourself, to wield that kind of ultimate power. You believed your moral compass was strong enough to resist the corruption that took down others. Where the person choosing destroy saw the inevitability of tyranny, you saw the opportunity for a benevolent God King. It's an act of supreme self-confidence. You were willing to make the ultimate sacrifice, not your life, but your humanity, to become the eternal shepherd of the galactic flock. This choice is deeply rooted in a belief in order, and that authority can be used responsibly. You're not afraid of centralized power as long as you're convinced it's in the right hands, and in this case, you decided those hands were yours. You have a vision for a stable galaxy, and you just appointed yourself its eternal protector. The chaos of organic life, the endless cycles of war, you believe that can be managed by a wise intelligence watching over everything. It's a lonely, thankless, and eternal job, but for the person who chooses control, it's a necessary one. Then there's the third path, the one the catalyst itself presents as the final true evolution, synthesis. Shepard dives into the beam, sacrificing their body to unleash a wave that rewrites the DNA of every living thing in the galaxy. Organics and synthetics merge into a new, hybrid form of life. Everyone gets cool, glowing circuit patterns, and the conflict that the Reapers were built to solve is just obsolete. If you chose synthesis, you are at your core an idealist, an optimist. You completely rejected the grim binary of destroy or control. You were faced with what looked like two bad solutions, and you insisted on finding a third way where, in theory, everyone wins. This choice, it reflects a deep belief in harmony, unity, and the idea that any conflict is just a misunderstanding that can be solved. It also reveals a mind that's pretty open to transhumanist ideas. You're not afraid of fundamental change. You see technology not as a threat, but as a path to something higher. The idea of merging with machines to get past our own biological limits doesn't scare you, it excites you. You believe evolution can be a conscious choice, a great leap forward. You didn't just save the galaxy, you tried to elevate it to a whole new level of existence. More than anything, synthesis is the choice of the empath. You couldn't bring yourself to commit genocide against the Geth and Edie, especially if you spent the whole game fighting for their right to be seen as people, and you couldn't endorse the cold, lonely power trip of control. Synthesis is the one ending where, in a way, nobody has to die. It's an act of radical compassion. But, and this is the big counter-argument, it's also profoundly authoritarian, isn't it? You made a decision for every single living thing in the galaxy without their consent, rewriting their very being because you thought it was for their own good. You're the dreamer who believes a perfect future is possible, even if you have to force it into existence. Of course, not everyone plays by the rules the catalyst sets out. Some players choose refusal. They tell the godchild to get lost, or just shoot it. The result is catastrophic. The Reapers win, the cycle continues, and Liara's time capsule is the only thing left, hoping the next cycle does better. If you chose this, you're a purist, a contrarian. You found the options so flawed that you'd rather see total failure than compromise your principles. You refused to play a rigged game, even if it meant knocking over the entire board and dooming everyone. And then there are the adherents to the Indoctrination Theory. This is the fan theory that says everything after Harbinger's beam hits you is a hallucination. One final mental battle against the Reaper's influence. Believers see control and synthesis as Reaper traps, and destroy as the only real choice where Shepard breaks free. If you subscribe to this, You're a deep, analytical thinker who questions the official narrative. You look for patterns and hidden meanings, refusing to take the story at face value. It shows you wanted a more complex conclusion, and you believe the true victory is in resisting manipulation until the very end. In the end, there is no single right answer on the Citadel. Each path just reflects a different philosophy. Do you stick to the mission, no matter the cost? Do you believe you have the strength to wield absolute power for the greater good? Or do you dream of a future where the very idea of conflict is obsolete? The question the Catalyst asks isn't just for Shepard, it's for us. When you're faced with an impossible choice, do you preserve what you have, control what's to come, or rewrite the rules of existence entirely? Your answer doesn't just define a hero, it defines the person holding the controller. Guys, I'm trying to make it as a full-time YouTuber, and these videos take a lot to make. So if you enjoy the videos, please consider subscribing. It truly means a lot, and it makes a big difference. It has to be you. Someone else might have gotten it wrong. Thank you for watching.